Welcome to the Best Sports Betting Podcast, where we'll talk about reviews, previews, tips, and all things betting related. Brought to you by bestsportsbetting.co.za. Now, on to our hosts.
Podcast. Simon has informed me that it's episode 37. So, yeah, it's been a long road. It's been a good road. And with me, as always, is Simon. Simon, how are you doing? How was your Super Bowl weekend?
Yeah, I'm very good, thanks, Rob. Yeah, I was feeling a little bit worse for wear yesterday. The match only ended up finishing at about 10:30, but it was a really intriguing Super Bowl.
I find that very, very funny to complain about because I was up until 5 o'clock in the morning. So I was your hop was 10 and all the beer and all the wings.
Yeah, we were still going on a chat a bit, and I just said to you, Rob, it's definitely bedtime for you. I can imagine the birds must be chirping hours ago.
Yeah, I was a little 2-hour nap and then it was straight to work. So.
Yeah.
What a Super Bowl though. I mean, wow. I don't want to say a killing. I made quite a bit of money in play. On our last podcast, which didn't really work because of the issues we were having, we both agreed on the Patriots. You liked the 1-2. I liked the -4. Neither of us were right on there, but it was definitely one for the bookies. I think they must have made an absolute killing on that game.
Yeah, I think mixed results, Rob. Actually, the handle was pretty small, and I think that's because the main reason for that is there was so many money line bets on the Eagles. So obviously, depending on when people took that money line, they would have got between 15 and 17 to 10. So apparently, they got a bit spanked with big money on the Eagles, but there was some late Patriots money, which then kind of evened it out a bit. But their handle was pretty small. I actually saw an interesting thing on Twitter because, with sports betting on the cusp of being legal in America, the NBA, for instance, has talked about wanting 1% of the handle of all the bets placed. And in that scenario, because the books actually made such a small amount of Super Bowl, they would have actually made a $700,000 loss. So just to put that into perspective, they were actually, they didn't make too much money in the Super Bowl, but if they had to pay that 1%, they actually would have made a loss, which is quite interesting to think about.
That's crazy. Yeah, and the NBA can go stuff themselves if they want 1%. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a massive amount of money.
I mean, that just opens up the door for all sorts of kind of permutations, and it will just kill sports betting. I mean, you think about
let's just go back.
Yeah, but anyway, so going back to the Super Bowl. Look, I was hitting. I liked halftime Eagles, full-time Patriots. I ended up taking Eagles -3.5 halftime at 2-1. Can you believe it? Massive price. I took the Eagles to win at halftime. I took Eagles over points halftime. I wasn't heavy on the Eagles, but I was heavy on the Eagles halftime. So I cashed all of those tickets. I did lose my Patriots tickets. And then I kept bouncing back and forth in play. I was like, Patriots have the upper hand, Eagles have the upper hand. And I was getting 13-10, 15-10. I was just banging back and forth, taking that 30% margin the whole time. And, I ended up making probably one of the more profitable Super Bowls in recent years for me.
Well, this is exactly what we talked about, Robin. We were chatting the early hours for you in the morning, is that the bookmakers were so scared to expose themselves too much on the Patriots because obviously we've chatted about this in the podcast before. The Patriots have this reputation for always coming back, and when they look like they're down and out, they come back and win a match. So the bookmakers were so scared to hang a number where they could be taken advantage of with Patriots money when it was almost like written in the stars that they were going to come back, that you were getting such incredible value on the Eagles, which really made it interesting. And talking about the game itself, it was so many, statistics wise, so many records were broken. It was really interesting because
there was
these
one punt in the entire game. I mean,
these two elite defenses, especially the Eagles, they couldn't stop one another, which made it really, really entertaining. There were more than 70 points scored. And in fact, the match broke the record for the amount of total yards gained on offense by both sides. It was, I can't remember the exact figure, but it was 1,200 yards or something, which is, I haven't seen any football game, never mind a Super Bowl, reach that level in the NFL in a number of years. So it was really, really interesting. Expecting this kind of tight game, which it was, but I don't think anyone expected such a shootout.
No, I didn't at all. If you'd asked me to pick, I would have gone unders, no doubt about it.
And that's I love the halftime under, and that didn't come in. I was glad to get Brady over. and then the Eagles +3 at half time. But I came out counted even, and then also we were pretty close with our Eagles halftime, Patriots full time. I mean, when the Eagles were up, and I thought, here we go, here we're going to get a 7.6 winner, but unfortunately not.
Okay, so I mean, we were close to the Eagles halftime full time, but I'm happy that the Patriots won. And what did you think about the performance assignment? I mean, Brady throwing for like over 500 yards, incredible stuff.
Yeah, it was, as I said, it was an incredibly offensive, powerful game, and these records were broken because the defenses were just not there. So it made it really, really interesting from a viewer's perspective. And Doug Peterson, the head coach for the Eagles, was very aggressive in his play calling. A lot of people are now pointing fingers at Bill Belichick that he made some dodgy calls and this and that. But I think on the day that the Eagles were just the more aggressive team, and they did deserve the win. I don't think they're going to be too many.
You made it to the Super Bowl and you scored 33 points. I mean, how do you blame your offense there? you don't.
Sure, and I don't think too many people are going to be disappointed that Tom Brady doesn't add another Super Bowl ring to his collection. So that'll probably make quite a lot of NFL fans happy. But yeah, very, very, very interesting Super Bowl, and it's always great when a match like this lives up to the hype, and it really was a fantastic game.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and it was a perfect advert for American football. I mean, the last couple of Super Bowls have been good, but they were nowhere near as you never knew who was going to win. I mean, the Patriots could have won it right at the death as well. Until that, I think, was it a pick that Brady threw right at the end that
it was turned over. So yeah, he nearly got sacked, but I can't remember the Eagles defensive lineman's name, but he knocked his arm, so the ball just fell down and they turned it over, which then gave the Eagles possession. So then they couldn't. Also, what they did though was they scored a 2-point. The Eagles scored a 2-point conversion, which meant that the Patriots were always 8 points behind. So it was very difficult for them to then go into overtime. So they made some very good calls, I must say. And Doug Peterson, his aggressiveness really, really paid off.
Definitely. All right, and then we're going to chat a quick bit about the Premier League. Last night's result, Chelsea losing to Watford.
Wow.
And just speaking about that, I've just posted on Twitter that MobiBets have put up their next manager for Chelsea odds. So I think Conte's days are numbered.
Wow.
Crazy result.
Yeah, look, I mean, losing their second consecutive game, I think for the first time this season, against Watford, and not by small margins either. I mean, they lost 3-0 to Bournemouth last week. Okay, we can always write, you can kind of write one of those off as a bad day.
Yeah.
But then losing 4-1 to Watford, I mean, I have to ask you, Rob, I mean, what on earth is happening? Is a top 4 spot even realistic now? I mean, there's murmurs obviously of him leaving now. I mean, what do you think about all this?
It's difficult. Look, Chelsea are a quality side. They've got quality players. They have made some strange decisions. I mean, bringing in Giroud from Arsenal, I think, was just not a smart idea, especially paying, 18 million pounds odd for him. I think that's more of a stopgap solution. And, there's obviously some problems going on at Chelsea.
Agreed.
And when teams do that, there is something wrong. You don't buy a very, very mediocre player just to slot him in like that. That's not thinking long term. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone. I think he'll be around for another game or two and then they'll sack him, regardless of if he wins the next 2 games or not. Your favourites to replace him are Luis Enrique. You've got Ancelotti. I doubt they'll take Ancelotti. You've got Sarri. You've got Hiddink. I wouldn't be surprised to see Hiddink come back. And obviously, good old Diego Simeone. But, it's going to be interesting for Chelsea.
Yeah.
And then,
another very interesting. Yeah, no, just saying the other drama of the weekend, of course, was Liverpool Spurs, which, I mean, wow, that was interesting. I mean, Liverpool got ahead after 3 minutes through Mo Salah, and then they were kind of in cruise control for the first half, and then Spurs came back firing, but couldn't break them down. And then the last 10 minutes, Tottenham equalised, and then missed a penalty, and then in injury time, Salah scored again, and then Kane equalised to score level the scores at 2-2. Really, really crazy last 10 minutes in that match.
Yeah, definitely. It was absolutely bonkers. And talking about craziness, I mean, I'm going to a completely different match. I'm going to the Crystal Palace Newcastle match, and I'd been trying to get a bet when Newcastle were 1-0 up on Crystal Palace double chance at 11-10, and the bookie just wasn't taking it. So I was quite pissed. The market wasn't loading into the bet slip, and so very frustrating weekend football wise for me. Arsenal came and thumped, which we did call. I think Arsenal are going to be able to chat about them in a moment when we have the North London derby. But I think Arsenal are on the rise at the moment, and I know it's one result, and I know it's Everton, but they've got new players. They're going to be brimming with confidence. Ramsey's playing,
and it is that time.
Vital.
It is that time of the season for Arsenal, is it not? I mean, this is what happens.
Yeah, and it's very good to back them at this time of the season. So, yeah. But then, what about the cricket, Simon? Wow, another thing that I made quite a packet on was just shoveling money on the unders. I mean, crazy. South Africa, 109 for 6 or something, and the line was 180, and I'll take under that, and I'll take under next over, under 3.5 runs, and then wickets just kept tumbling, and I was just smiling and pressing bet, and I think I only lost one bet on that, and that was when India were batting. So, yeah, very
I mean, South Africa
as well.
South Africa haven't started this 6-match series very well at all. I mean, they went into the first one as quite heavy favourites, and then they lost the first ODI, and quite convincingly, and then the next one too. So look, I mean, I'm very glad that I got with India when I did, because I just feel that this whole series is going to be turned on its head. And look, I mean, India, just to give you an example of how things have changed. I mean, India now go into the third ODI as 5-10 favourites. Which is probably about right. It's quite something. I mean, I know we're a better test side than we are a one-day side, but right now India really do look in control.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the team that South Africa's got, or the players that they're missing. I mean, no AB. I think there are a couple of other big names that we're going to be missing for the next ODI. So I wanted to back South Africa when I saw the price, and then I saw the team news, and I was like, okay, not a chance. Big trouble there. And other big news is that Alistair Coetzee was sacked, which is great news, I think.
No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think that it just opens the door for a new chapter in South African rugby. I think, almost regardless of who comes next, I just think it's just breathing new life into rugby will be a good thing. I look forward to see how things progress from there.
I mean, look, one thing that really frustrates me about these kind of situations is why didn't they just sack him before? I mean, why wait until the middle of basically, or preseason or whatever, to sack the guy? I mean, what changed your mind now that those results earlier didn't change? I mean, what, you do a performance review every 6 months or something? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But anyway, anything else you wanna chat about before we
we could talk quickly. Talk quickly about the Six Nations rugby. Just want to talk quickly about the outrights.
Wow! Oh wow!
Yeah.
Did you watch the Irish the French game?
No, I didn't. The only game I actually watched was the Wales-Scotland game. But obviously, I want to talk a bit about the other game, because I've got one pick going ahead. But I mean, just talking quickly about the outrights. I mean, England are 11-10 favourites to win this tournament, which which is quite a short price, I thought.
Thank you.
Okay, anyway, but there's lots of talk about Ireland being the better team. I don't have an opinion on the outrights really, but I must say I watched the Wales-Scotland game, which was an absolute whitewash to the Welsh. Look, they definitely got some lucky breaks early on, Scotland were not great at all. But I think, Warren Gatland is a really good coach, and I think I think they're a very young team, Wales, as well. So I think they're really interesting to watch. But I do agree with you. I think that England are worthy favourites. I'm not sure they should be 11-10. But
I'll take that 11-10 all day. I will take that all day.
Okay.
Snap it up while you can. That's my advice.
Yeah, sure. I mean, as I said, I think they should be favourites. I think that price is a little short. But anyway, looking ahead, do you have any picks for this weekend in the Six Nations, Rob?
Well, I know you do, but just a quick recap. I mean, you didn't watch the game, but there was an amazing finish to the Ireland-France game. I mean, Ireland were down, I think it was like 2 points or 1 point, and the 80-minute hooter had gone, and they then strung together 50 phases without an incident. And I think they were probably like 30, 40 meters out, and they were just going nowhere. They were basically trying to milk the penalty from the French. And the French defense is looking absolutely superb this year. So, anyway, basically what happened is they went through 50 phases, and then Johnny Sexton took a drop goal. An absolute stun of a drop goal. I mean, from way far out under incredible pressure after 50 phases, last kick of the game, and it literally floats over. I mean, it looked like it was going to be short, but wow! If you haven't seen that, go look for the highlight package. It was amazing. One of the best finishes.
Yes, no, I did.
Seen.
Yeah, I did. I haven't seen any video of it, but I did read about that finish. It sounded like quite an amazing finish in a very tight game.
Yeah, it was amazing. But looking forward to this week's rugby. I like the French, and I know you've got quite a bit to say about the good old Frogs.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those, when you just look at a price, you just think, huh?
Yeah.
I would have expected this to France +6. Look, I mean, Scotland have got a decent home record. But, look, the French have, they've lost their last 8 games, right? Which I think is what really is built into this price. But if you look at the results, they've all been very close, right? And the only losses have come to New Zealand and South Africa. Okay, so I think 6 out of those 8 losses came to New Zealand and South Africa. And then if you look at the head-to-head, obviously this goes back quite far, and obviously the teams are quite different. But since 2009, France has won 9 out of 10 games against Scotland. I think that it may not be as telling as it sounds, but it certainly means something. And I just think that the French are being underrated here based on their recent track record. And they obviously, as I said, I didn't see the game, but I heard they played very well last week. And I just think, although Scotland are bound to play better than they did last week against Wales, I just think getting 6 points, even on the road, is pretty decent. So I'll definitely take France plus the points against Scotland there.
I fancy the French straight up there. I mean, you're getting 18 to 10 when the line opened when I checked. So I'll just be taking that. I completely agree with you. Having watched the Ireland France game, I think that the French defense is looking tops. The Scottish attack is not looking great. They're flinging the ball around. They're kind of spraying and praying. And I think the French are going to punish them. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. Probably less than, I'd say 45, 44 points around there.
Okay.
But I think the French will win this one outright. I don't understand the line. It might be something to do with the team news. I haven't placed a bet yet. I'm going to have to look into it, but I like the French here just for the straight win. And I mean, +6 is even better. But
look,
give me the value. Give me.
Well, look, I mean, sure. Well, what I'll probably do is then split my stakes because, as you said, a low-scoring game points are obviously more valuable. So taking a handicap in a low-scoring game is always a better idea because you've got a better chance of landing it. So I'll probably split my stakes something like third, 2/3, third on the money line, 2/3 on the spread or something like that. But definitely getting with the French in some way or another.
Definitely. And all right, so let's just have a look at the Premier League. There's the obvious game, which is the North London Derby, which is going to be our focus. But is there any other fixtures that you like this weekend? Anything that kind of tickles?
Yeah, there is a bet I like. I'll talk about the London Derby just now, but I like United. I mean, they were in complete cruise control against Huddersfield on the weekend, where they won 2-0, and I just see a similar results against struggling Newcastle. Sanchez has obviously joined the team. He looked really, really hungry for goals. He missed a penalty, which was quite disappointing, but then he got on the score sheet straight away. And I think, especially with a guy like him, he's an egomaniac. He really is. He's very talented, but he's an egomaniac. And I just think with a kind of guy like him, he needs to, now that he's got a goal, I think he's gonna settle in really nicely, and I think he's gonna really, really go for it. So look, obviously United can increase their gap over Chelsea, Liverpool and Spurs with a win here, and I think they'll take advantage. I like United -1 goal in the Asian handicap, which is actually odds of 12-10, which I think is decent. So obviously then if they win the game just by 1 goal, you'll get your stake back, but I think they're going to win by at least 2, which will give you a winner there.
I completely agree. That would be my bet. I mean, Newcastle against United is always just a shit show. Newcastle always get thrashed, and they get thrashed convincingly, and it's generally by 2 goals or more.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to -1 handicap all day on Manchester United.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to say that there's necessarily. Oh, okay. I don't think there's necessarily value on that line, but I think that obviously Newcastle being in a relegation battle of sorts now, I think that a lot of people might say, well, that they're desperate for points, but I just don't think. I think that with what Sanchez is going to add to the firepower of United's attack, I just think that they will be too much for them, and I think I see a 2 or 3-0 win there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, and I'll be taking that. I won't take a clean sheet. I think Newcastle could grab a goal, but I'd take United -1. Right, let's go straight into the big game of the weekend. The Northland Derby, Spurs against Arsenal, and I fancy Arsenal here. Spurs were dominant. Before the Liverpool game, they looked really, really good against United, but I think I kind of flattered them.
The second half, certainly, yeah.
And I just think it's a good time for Arsenal to play Spurs. They're both. I think Arsenal. Well, not. I don't want to say they're both in form. They're both coming into form rather. And Arsenal at 5-2 it's an attractive price. I won't take the straight win. I'd rather go with a double chance in this instance. You're going to get some decent odds on that.
Yeah, look, I'm kind of with you, Rob. I mean, look, a couple of weeks back, I'd have written this off as a Spurs win, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But look, the Gunners, look, they still have had a couple of dodgy results of late. They lost to Swansea and so on. But as you said, they're showing signs of life, and I just love backing them at this time of the season. So after a really rocky patch, they're kind of showing a little bit more for themselves. And look, I think there's no doubt that they're going to miss Sanchez up front. But I'm actually going to be a bit ballsy on this one. And instead of taking the double chance, and I do think that Arsenal get a draw there, I'm actually going to rather go for a straight draw. There have been 4 draws in the last 10 matches, and that's at odds of 26-10. And I just think Spurs obviously are a little too short to win this, but I like the value of backing the draw here, and I'll rather go for a smaller stake and actually back a draw here, as I said, which is, I mean, there have been so many draws, and odds of 26-10 is kind of what's expected when you're having sort of even money on one side and the other. And I just think that with a record between these two teams and the fact it's a London derby, I just think that has to have to take that for a small stake instead of backing the double chance there. But I do think Arsenal will definitely get a draw out of this.
Yeah, it's very hard to ignore the draw there. And talk about some, I don't want to say long shot bets, but some kind of speculative bets. I also do fancy under 2.5 goals here. You probably think I'm absolutely batshit crazy, but getting 15 to 10 on under 2.5 goals. It's a big price. Look, the obvious play is to take.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about,
I can't justify taking over 2.5 goals at 5 to 10. I mean, that's absolute madness.
So, no, agreed. I absolutely agree. I think that I've talked about this many times before, but there's always this expectation in games like this, especially between sort of arch enemies or arch rivals, that there's going to be goals. And I think you really, really get value on unders. And I think that more often than not, you do see the under come in. You really do.
Yeah, because I mean, both teams are going to be playing. I mean, if one team, it's a massive match for league positioning as well, because Arsenal, I think, just 5 points behind Spurs. So it's a 3-point game, obviously, but Spurs can't really afford to drop 3 points here, whereas Arsenal will be desperate to pick up 3 points, but at the same time they don't want to drop any further back. So I think your draw is a good result, and I think it's going to be a bit quieter than what everyone thinks. So I do fancy the under 2.5. I'm not going to make it a best bet, but my best bet for this game is definitely going to be Arsenal on the double chance. You're getting 17 to 20, 8 to 10, 9 to 10 places, so why not? It's a decent shot.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you like for the football this weekend?
No, that's it, Rob.
Okay. I'm surprised, Simon. I thought you would have looked over the card and be salivating with some of these recent results. I mean, you've got some okay matchups. Nothing to really, get anyone too excited.
Nah.
Everton, Crystal Palace. I mean, Crystal Palace might be worth backing away there. I mean, they're 12-5. You've got a couple other games. Swansea, Burnley. It's nothing to get too excited about. Maybe West Ham, Watford. I mean, West Ham some value at 6-4, playing against a Watford team that's coming off a massive win. Might be worth.
The problem with a lot of these teams at the moment is I just don't really know what to think about them. I mean, obviously, sometimes it's easier to make a case for a team who's sitting in relegation, etc. But a lot of these teams, I just don't know what to make of them. West Ham is one of them. I don't know what to make of them this season. They've had such a mixed bag of results, and I find them very hard to back or oppose. I must say that there's not much that appeals to me in the card, as I said, except obviously, getting with United, and then I think this North London derby's definitely got a couple entry points. But other than that, there's not too much to get excited about.
All right, so before we go to our best bets, guys, we've got a game with ClickerBet. It's a soccer pick six game. You pop onto Best Sports Betting. You'll see the second or the third banner has a little link to it, and you head over there, you choose your 6 teams, like a soccer six game. So you choose a win, draw, win. Pop in your email address and you stand a chance to win some betting vouchers, some hats, some golf shirts, all those kind of things from ClickerBet. So guys, check that out. It is free to play. We're not going to be asking you to register or anything like that. But yeah, so check it out, Simon. You should go have a look. I know you're pretty good with your accumulators, so have a little nibble there.
I certainly will, Rob. Oh, absolutely.
And yeah, so anything before we move to our best bets?
No, that's it, Rob. I think we've covered it all.
Oh, great! Wow, action-packed show today. But yeah, so what's your best bet for the weekend? Let's start with well, let's just go overall best bets. What are your biggest fancies?
I'm gonna go to the Premier League again. I do like France, but I think I prefer this bet. Manchester United -1 on the Asian handicap, away to Newcastle. So look, I mean, it's obviously the tune of fighting relegation, but I just don't think that'll be enough to get them over the line against United. And I think with the extra firepower and Alexis Sanchez, I think that United can definitely win this by at least 2 goals.
Okay, I'm going to go with Arsenal double chance against Spurs. I really fancy them. I think they'll have a shot. I do like the unders. I'm not going to be calling that, but have a little sprinkle on that. And yeah, guys, next week we'll be chatting a bit more Super Rugby. That's coming up in just over a week's time. Quite excited about that. Just lots of cracking things to talk about. There's always good value in the early matches. And Simon, thanks for coming in, guys. This podcast was brought to you by PlayerBet. Go check them out. playerbets.co.za. Open an account, give them some support, and we'll see you guys next week for episode 38. Cheers.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to visit our site, Facebook and Twitter pages. Let's go make some money.